Hey y'all, Rick Sky here, and I appreciate all y'all's feedback about my wristwatch videos. And this one's going to be in a slightly different format. We're going to get some really good macro shots as well as the face-on-video narration. Now, before I continue, that's right, I got a blue tongue, man. I've been eating cake. So within this video, we're going to compare several popular timepieces. Now, that's the Tudor Chrono, the Tudor Black Bay Chrono. Now, this is the inverted panda, the reverse panda. And it's a very, very popular piece, becoming more and more popular. Didn't release too long ago at the time of filming this video, but a few things that make it really cool. It's got the screw down pushers, obviously the screw down crown, 200 meters, 660 feet of water resistance, and just a great piece. We're going to go into all of these in a ton of depth here. The next one is the Tudor Black Bay 58. Now this is the blue one. This is 39 millimeters. The Tudor Chrono's 41. But just another great piece. And then of course also the Submariner. Now this is just the Submariner 114060. So I'm going to talk about all these pieces in a lot of depth here. So if you're on the fence, or maybe you're wanting to add multiple pieces, or do you just want to add one, which piece should you choose and why? Within this video, I'm going to talk about a lot of the common things that you'll probably find in watch forums, wristwatch forums, online videos such as YouTube videos, etc., that that may kind of misguide you and not necessarily take you to the timepiece that you really want. This, like all timepieces for tomorrow videos, I don't sugarcoat anything, man. I just tell you, what I think, what I think is right. And again, my opinion's not always right. We've all got our own opinions and our own, when it comes to wearing a wristwatch. Everybody's got different size wrist. Everybody's got a different preference when it comes to the size and weight of the timepiece. So let's dive into these here. First of all three of these are highly water resistant. So again, the Tudor Black Bay 58 is 200 meters, 660 feet, just like the Tudor Chrono. Same depth rating. And again, that's because this has screw-down crowns, has screw-down pushers and a screw-down crown. A lot of your chronographs, such as the very popular Omega Speedmaster, it does not have screw-down pushers, so you can't swim with it, or you shouldn't swim with it. One of the things that people are talking about is the case height, man. They're like, oh man, the Tudor Chrono is a chunky monkey. It's too tall. Well, here's the 58 and the Tudor Chrono side by side, and I'm going to show you the Submariner 114060 beside the Tudor Chrono. So if you think it's obnoxiously tall, it's actually not. I wear all three of these. I like them all. They all wear very similarly. The wrist feel is very similar. Obviously, the Tudor Chrono is a little bit heavier than the other two. So the heaviest one out of this group would be the Tudor Chrono. The second heaviest would be the Rolex Submariner 114060. And then actually the weight, and again, I'm not looking at these on a scale. I'm just doing it by wrist feel. The weight of these is actually very similar when you put them in your hand. But when you put the Tudor Chrono in your hand, you can tell that it has slightly greater weight. It's not heavy, man. People try to talk it out to me, oh, it's too heavy. It's a boat anchor, man. No, that's not the case with any of these. I mean, all of these they feel really great on the wrist, in my opinion. I have a 7.5-inch wrist. They're all different. Whoa. They're all different. You don't want every piece to be exactly the same feel. So, looking at them, I'm trying to show you some angles that often wristwatch videos aren't going to show. Because most everybody's focused upon the dial, but they don't really show you the case height. So, these are tool watches, man. They're meant to be scratched up, in my opinion. So, looking at this, so the Tudor Chrono, one of my new favorites, because you've got a lot of really cool stuff. Look at the white subdials. They're kind of like craters on the moon. They've got a depth to them. You've got a date at the 6 o'clock position. It does not have a cyclops, which means it looks very nice. You have the dome sapphire crystal, which gives it more of an old school look. You've got the faux rivets, the fake rivets. That's a point of controversy. Whether you like them or not, you're probably not even going to notice them while you're wearing it. On this, on the Tudor Chrono, you got some really cool stuff. See the red, the depth rating above the 6 o'clock position, 200 meters, 660 feet, that's in red. Also, the tip of this hand is in red. To engage the chronograph function, so not to be confused with chronometer, this is a chronometer, but to engage the chronograph function, you unscrew the chrono pushers, because when they're screwed down, you can't use the chronograph. That is worth mentioning. When you unscrew these, don't get near the water, because it's no longer water resistant when those are unscrewed. But see, now you can see the chronograph is in use. You'll see this tick around, and then you'll see the subdial at the 3 o'clock position. You'll see it move. Very nice chronograph. The movement of this, actually, Tudor did a they did a movement. I guess you'd call it a movement swap with Breitling. So this is based upon a Breitling movement. It's a really good movement. The dial has, you can see here, if you've got 4K, crank it up. It's an interesting finish. It's not a solid black. It's almost got a little speckle. See? It's got a grainy type look. It looks really nice. Now watch the 3 o'clock position subdial. Because when this gets back, when it completes a minute, it's going to move. Watch. Here we go. There it goes. So to stop your chronograph, your stopwatch, push the top one, it'll stop, and then to reset it, boom, push that back. Will I use the chronograph that much? Oh yeah, and look at this, with the chrono pushers up, see, you can see inside of there. Meaning that if you got in the water, water would be introduced into the case, so you don't want that. So I screw these down very tightly. Will I use the chronograph complication that much? Probably not. Do I like having it? Yeah, because it gives the wristwatch a unique look. And you know, that's a rarity, and I know Omega has some, but it's a rarity to find an affordable chronograph that has screw-down pushers. See, now they won't push when they're screwed down. So it's kind of a best of both worlds watch. If you're looking for a chronograph, but you want something that's highly water resistant, this Tudor Black Bay Chrono, and again, this is the inverted Panda, the reverse Panda. You can also get one that's the dial is white and the subdials are black. That's called the Panda. So this is a great choice. Again, I don't think it's too large. A lot of people say, "Oh man, it's just too big. It's too tall on the wrist." Yeah, it's a little bit, and I'm not doing any camera tricks here. It's a little bit taller, but also keep in mind, and again, that's the Black Bay 58 I'm comparing it to there. The bracelet is also a little bit wider than the Black Bay 58, so it's all proportional. Now, you know, I've got a 7.5 inch wrist. I can wear all of these perfectly. I can also wear the Panerai they got on my wrist here. You know, every wristwatch is different. So it's just a matter of what you're looking for the day. Now the Tudor Chrono here, you know, who would this be for? This would be for somebody that's, you know, got a few wristwatches. They want to add a chronograph. They don't want something as common as the Omega Speedmaster, which is a great watch, the Omega Speedmaster, but they want something that's not as common. They want something that has high water resistance, which this does. I mean, 660 feet. You'd be in a world of hurt if you went down that deep. So you can get a chrono, you can get something you can swim with. It's just kind of just an excellent piece in my opinion. Now keep in mind, the bezel is an aluminum insert. So this is something that over time will probably develop patina. A lot of collectors like patina. So, you know, if you're going with ceramic, like with this sub 114060, this bezel will probably never fade. This bezel will probably never crack, but it's got a glossiness to it. You know, this aluminum bezel on the, well, actually on both the Tudor Chrono and the Tudor Black Bay 58, this aluminum bezel should develop a very nice patina over time. Now, it probably will scratch. So if you wear your watches like I do, you'll probably get scratches in there. So, you know, something to be aware of. Obviously, both of these pieces have the snowflake hands. See the hour hand? They call that the snowflake. So that's something some people don't like. You know, they want the Mercedes hands like you get on the Rolex. But again, it's a matter of personal preference. But yeah, the Tudor Chrono, if you want a chrono and you want something you can swim with, I would definitely encourage you to put this towards the top of your list. Because, you know, especially if it's a one and done, one wristwatch, and you don't really care to add multiples, you know, this is a great one and done because you can swim with it, you get your chronograph, you get something that's unique, and obviously Tudor being a sister brand to Rolex, you've got something that's probably likely, and again, nothing's guaranteed, but something that will probably continue to appreciate in value, and especially with Rolex, the direction they're heading, probably something that will become, I have a feeling Tudor is going to become, and we'll talk about this in other videos, I have a feeling Tudor is going to become the next Rolex, because Rolex is going so high in price that they're going to eliminate a lot of their wristwatch collectors that don't have that big of a budget, or just wouldn't want to, you know, spend that for a wristwatch. So I think Tudor is definitely, that right there is definitely going to be a future classic in my opinion, and so is the Tudor Black Bay 58, the blue here. Now, why did I go with the blue instead of the black? Several reasons. The blue, because I don't have, well, I've got a few wristwatches that are blue. I've got a Breitling Super Ocean Heritage 2. I've got the Omega Seamaster 300M with the blue wave dial. But I went blue in the Black Bay 58 because at the time of filming this, the only the only other option was the black. Now the black has red on the dial, which looks nice. It's got the little red up here, this little piece with the lume pip in it, but it has faux patina, fake patina. I like this one because it does not have fake patina. You know, it's just, this is something that will develop a nice patina, but there's nothing fake about the patina new out of the box. So, you know, as this fades, it'll be a true fade of the lume color, of the dial color, of the bezel color. Whereas with the other reference, the black reference, Black Bay 58, it's got fake patina. Now, some people don't care, but I think for the long haul, my opinion is that the blue Black Bay 58 is the way to go. Now, you can hear the bezel click. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. This is a 60-click bezel, meaning that if you go from the 12 o'clock position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's going to be 60 clicks. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 times 2 is 60. So this is a 60-click bezel. It's got very reassuring bezel action. Both this piece, the Black Bay 58, actually all of these, the Black Bay 58, the Tudor Chrono, and the Rolex, when you unscrew the crown to adjust the time or to wind the wristwatch, it's got a very premium feel to it. You know, there's nothing about this piece that, let's see, I need to pop it out to, there's nothing about this piece that feels cheap. I mean, it's a very, that's my fingernails are giving me a problem. See, when you adjust the time on this, it's got a very premium feel to it, just like the Rolex. Some other brands of wristwatches, it's worth mentioning that, you know, when you set the time using the crown or wind the watch, it doesn't have a premium feel. The crown in those and other brands often feels cheap. It feels kind of, there's a little bit of wobble to it. It just doesn't have the firmness that this does. This is a very, you can tell it's a high quality wristwatch. So, you know, don't let the fact that this doesn't have Rolex on the dial make you think that this is an inferior piece or a poor man's Rolex. Now, granted, Hans Willdorf, the guy that founded Rolex and then Tudor, You know, not to misquote Hans Wieldorf, but his comments were basically that, you know, he was creating the poor man's Rolex, and that's not the case with Tudor anymore. You know, Rolex has gone through the stratosphere in price, and Tudor is, in my opinion, today well past where Rolex was when it started. So you're getting current technology at a much lower price point than Rolex, but you're getting something that looks old school. And that's the thing about this Black Bay 58. A lot of people say this is the perfect wristwatch. A lot of people like it a lot more than the Submariner simply because of the proportions. You know, it's 39 mil. Even on a 7.5-inch wrist, it feels great. And it's just, you know, the bracelet's super comfortable. You know, there's no compromises here. Now, one thing you don't get, at least with these references, and Tudor may change this in the future, on the clasp, you don't get the glide lock, the micro adjustments. Now, I know there's a boutique-only Tudor, was it the bronze Black Bay 58 that has a micro adjustment thing, but that's, at the time of filming this, that's the only one. So then looking at the Rolex, obviously the Rolex, you know, as we mentioned, this has a ceramic bezel, which shouldn't crack or shouldn't fade. The bezel's shiny. The dial itself has a shine to it. Now, obviously, the hands and the indices and all of that are white gold, and here in the bezel, you've got platinum. So you've got the use of some precious metals, whereas in these other two pieces, I think they're just rhodium on the dial. The bracelet material and the case material, this is a different type of steel than the Tudors. And I'm trying to remember what they've got. Let's see. I think they've got it marked. There's like one of them is. I think the common is 316L. So I think Tudor's not using the Rolex steel. They're using a different type. And I think the standard is 3. Comment below and correct me, but I think both of these are 316L, which is what you'll find in most wristwatches. And of course, the Rolex Submariner is using the step up of stainless steel, which is what they use. And comment below and tell me what it's called. Obviously, the Rolex Submariner bracelet does not have fake rivets, does not have faux rivets. All of these use screws for the bracelet, which is premium. All of these feel great on the wrist. The power reserve on this being the 114060, which at the time of filming this is the previous reference, I think it only has a 40 or 42 hour power reserve. These have 70 or 72 hour power reserves, the Tudors. So you're getting, and these all have anti-magnetic hairsprings, so they're less susceptible to any sort of magnetism that might be encountered. Magnetism's still a bad thing for a wristwatch, so don't put your wristwatch near magnetic fields. But since these do use anti-magnetic hairsprings, then they're all great pieces. Now, the lume on this is kind of in the dark, this is a bluish lume. It's called chromolite, whereas both of the Tudors use super luminova, which is all really good lume. But you'll notice that this chromolite on the Submariner kind of has a bluish thing to it. I would say the overall case finishings and dial finishings, and again, the use of precious metals in the Rolex Submariner definitely puts it you know, if you're a collector and you really scrutinize this stuff, it's going to put it a tier above the others, the Tudors, in overall quality and finishings and use of precious metals. To your average person on the street that says, oh, nice wristwatch, whether you're wearing a Tudor or a Rolex, unless they're a collector, they're probably not going to notice the difference. I mean, these are really, really nitpicky comments that I'm making right now. The other thing that you may not realize, you know, we said that the Tudor Black Bay 58 has a 60-click bezel. Now, obviously, the bezel on the Tudor Chrono does not rotate. You know, it's a chronograph. It doesn't rotate. This has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 120-click bezel. So hear that? And then here, the Black Bay 58. As you rotate it, you can hear the difference in clicks. You know, 160 versus 120. Not that that makes a difference at all, you know, but it is something worth mentioning. So if you want the absolute, here's my opinion here. If you've got the budget and you haven't added anything, definitely go with the Rolex Submariner first. Because if you don't, you're always going to think you just got the Tudor because you couldn't afford the Rolex. But if you've already got the Rolex, then these Tudors are absolutely amazing. You're not going to find these style wristwatches, probably not anymore, in the Rolex catalog. I mean, these are vintage type looking pieces. And again, just to show you here, this Black Bay 58 Chrono, the Tudor, the case proportions are smaller. It feels better on the wrist, in my opinion, than the Submariner. But all three of these feel great. Don't take that the wrong way. But yeah, it's not something you're going to see. I mean, the trend with Rolex has been bigger, flashier as far as shininess and all that's concerned. You know, they're going towards a different target audience now than they used to. And Tudor is kind of the new tool watch. You know, being wear anywhere, rugged, doesn't have to have precious metals in it. You know, it just looks cool, wears nicely, and should last several lifetimes. So, you know, any of these you're going to do fine with. It would not be none of these would be a bad decision in my opinion. Now, if you want a chrono, I would definitely go for the Tudor Chrono, and I would probably go for this right here, the Tudor Black Bay Reverse Panda with the black primary dial. Because if you look at the Panda, the one that has a white primary dial, you're probably going to notice those hands kind of blend with the dial. Now, that's been very nitpicky, but if you see them in person, that's probably something you're going to notice. And I didn't mention earlier, but see, these Black Bays have the domed sapphire crystal, which gives it kind of the old school look. Then, of course, the Submariner, it has a flat sapphire crystal. So, you know, again, all of these wristwatches are very different when you really dissect them from a collector's perspective. But just to see them in a case at an authorized dealer, it would be hard for someone that's not super savvy with wristwatches to say, oh, those aren't all the same manufacturer. Because, I mean, looking at these, it's obvious that, you know, that Rolex made all of these, and the reality is that Tudor is a sister brand of Rolex. So this is a comparison that I wanted to do because I know so many of y'all are on the fence, and there's so many videos out there. So many people have hidden agendas with these videos. I just really don't care. Now, I do care. I do want you to subscribe to my channel and ring that bell icon and check out all my videos. And feel free to support my channel and tune into my live shows, my Timepieces for Tomorrow live shows, because I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel. But as far as pushing, you know, one watch brand or one watch reference as opposed to another, that's not my goal. You know, I'm here to give you my honest feedback. And, you know, these wristwatches, they're all very different. And they're not... none of them are a bad decision, in my opinion. Probably all three of these are examples of wristwatches that'll probably continue to appreciate. And part of that is due to the popularity of the Rolex and Tudor brands, but also the fact that they historically, both Rolex and Tudor have issued annual price increases. If not every year, every few years or so. So, you know, the price, the MSRP continues to go up. And since the styles, especially with Rolex, subtly change, it's something that'll probably continue to go up in value. So, in theory, most any Rolex, it's probably safe to say that if you're able to find one at MSRP and wear it a few years, it's probably safe to say that if you tried to sell it in used condition a few years later, you would probably at least break even. And that's becoming the case now with a lot of Tudor references. Tudor, prior to the Black Bay, they had a lot of dogs, you know, less desirable pieces. But since Tudor released the Black Bay, Tudor has really stepped up their game, and they suggested that, hey, Tudor suggested to me that they're going to become the new Rolex. They're going to become the new tool watch. And then Rolex is going to continue to go up, up, up. Really up, 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 up. Super expensive upmarket pricing. So at least that's the way I interpret it. Again, these are my opinions. You may have different opinions. Comment below and tell me what you think and why. Because that's what this is all about. It's wristwatch collecting. It's sharing honest and hopefully valuable advice. So tell me what you think. Appreciate you watching this video. Subscribe, ring that bell icon when you do, and check out all of my timepieces for tomorrow videos. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, Captain Irix Guy here. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to subscribe. It's youtube.com/Irix Guy. And ring that bell icon when you do to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.